Welcome back to the GSTL. Seoul down a game in the series. Ragnarok was able to take a pretty cool Zerg versus Protoss. He got away with the 4th base, making all sorts of tech switches, keeping Huangshin guessing. But now we go into the ZVZ, and Youngju, he definitely can do this, but Sleep is, I would say, slightly favored here. He just has more experience, he has more overall wins, and he's more reliable.
Yeah, Sleep is actually favored a lot here if you look at this game history. The problem for Youngju really seems to be that he's always facing like really tough opponents.
Yeah.
If you are going up against Terrans, then two of the players that you really don't want to meet are Innovation and Bomber, and that's the two that he had to meet in the Team League. Now he's going up against Sleep, who has a 75% win ratio in the matchup. So for Youngju, he just gets very, very bad matchups here. And I feel that the kid is not all that bad. We've seen a couple of really good games coming out of him, and he was successful against Seed, for example. So he has shown potential in the past, but if you are up against the best, there's no shame in losing, but it always leaves a little bit of a bad taste when a player suddenly shows up with a statistic that is just really, really bad, and few people will make the effort to look up who he actually faced.
And even if you lose to one of the best players in the world, it doesn't feel good. You know, you'd rather lose to him than lose to somebody who's around your skill level, but still. He seems to be in good spirits today. Like I said, you know, I heard that his cousin and like maybe 2 of his cousins or something are here. I know some of his family's here for sure, so he's got that going for him. He's got that little bit of hope he can bank on, just saying, you know, my family's here watching me. I got to show my best in a ZVZ.
Yeah, the problem is that it also adds another component of pressure.
It's true. You know, and we've seen some of these players, like Sanai, for example, crumble under pressure in tough situations. Youngju's not necessarily crumbled under pressure. He's failed to deal with mid-game pressure, like in-game, not out external pressures, in tough matchups against really strong opponents in the past. We'll see, though, if he can handle Sleep on Derelict Watcher. So, a map where we could see all sorts of strategies. It's not really a map where you're forced to see one thing or the other. It's not like a map where you clearly see roaches more than mutas or vice versa.
I mean, in this game now in particular, most eyes are on Youngju trying to find out what exactly he's going to do. Sleep is the favorite to take this series, and that would put AZUBU up with the 2-0. It really comes down to, I mean, if you look at the lineup today, there are a few matches where you say, okay, Seoul is really a favorite here, especially the games where Dia plays, and then also Trap has a pretty good chance against Boom Boom. But they need someone else to secure a point if they want to have a chance to go into the ace match today. Now we're jumping to a Zerg versus Zerg with the GSTL. Let's have a look if Youngju is able to beat Sleep, or if AZUBU takes the 2-0 lead here in the series. Starting to the bottom left of the map of the Relic Watcher, we have our first Zerg player. He is the AZUBU player.
AZUBU Sleep.
And he's actually up against a 9-pool here of all things. So pretty interesting to see that his opponent is immediately trying to put the pressure on. Starting to the top right, we have the Seoul player with a 9-pool.
Seoul, Youngju.
A more common build is 10-pool into Baneling. Do you think that he will still do a Baneling follow-up on this 2-player map?
No,
I don't think so.
Not really. I don't think he's going to go into a Baneling as now. If he would have gone for that, he must have started. He should have started the Extractor already. But there it is. So he goes into Extractor after all. We might actually see it a little bit later than I expected. But talking about it, Sleep is really favored in this match since he has a 75% win ratio and he was able to beat opponents like Solki, Yu-Gi-Oh! Savage, Crazy, and a few others. Youngju, not that successful, doesn't have the experience, especially not in the surroundings that Sleep has, a player who we've seen in the Premier League. But Youngju now just tries to be super aggressive and moving out immediately with the Zerglings, going here for the 9-pool build. The problem for him really being that Sleep is not going into Hatch first, but starts with the pool on his own, and that gives him a really good position against Youngju.
Yeah, that's something that, I mean, well, we'll see how this goes, because we have seen crazier games where you still get the pool first and die because you miss micro, or your opponent's micro is so good with his Banelings, or maybe he hides his Banelings, and oh my god, he almost got away with it. Almost, but almost is never good enough. And now that this is known, there's going to be no more corners cut by Sleep, and he even checks to make sure there's no Spine Claw being made on the edge of his base, nothing like that happening, and he's He's going to be poised to defend this. Like you said, once the queen gets out, this should be fairly easy. He's going to have that defender's advantage.
This is really bad now. It is all about how can he use the Banelings, because we already have the Zerglings now in position. He saw with the Overlord that there were Lings on the way, and he has the better economy now. We have him at 14 against 8 Harvesters. He also has the second base. It was absolutely uncontested. There is no cancel at this point. The only thing that Sleep needs is a Spine Crawler. If he gets a Spine Crawler, it's going to be completely fine. He has the Queens on the other hand, and with good micro, he should also be able to fend this off. A Spine Crawler would give him additional safety. Takes a lot of time on the other hand, so now it's all about the micro. If the Banelings don't connect, then this game is over. That's the only chance that
Queen actually not targeting the Banelings here, and the Queen actually will go down to the Zerglings. Takes one hit off the Baneling as well, but that's something he can rebuild easily. He's already started a second one, and he just has twice the production with the hatchery here.
And the income. Double Queen started. He has the lava that he needs. He doesn't even really need the Queen because he already has double hatch.
Exactly.
So he's outproducing his opponent anyways. Spinecrawler is now being built nonetheless. Something that he could maybe have started a little bit earlier.
A little bit. You know, actually a good position here. Really nice for Youngju. Traps the Queen, gets a few of those drones, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The drones just need to resume mining. He gets another good Baneling hit, but where are the rest of his Zerglings? He doesn't have the economy to produce them.
It's still 10 Harvesters against 8, even with 3 workers killed, and it's 2 base against 1.
Spine's done.
This is really a big problem. Youngju is already running out of steam, and that could be a very, very quick 2-0 for AZUBU, and there it is.
GG.
GG and game over. Takes it. Good opening here for Sleep, starting things off with an early pull himself. Well, not an early pull, but pull before hatch. And that's the perfect opening against what he was facing here. The Overlord just barely able to spot the first few Zerglings, so he didn't invest any more lava and also like money into drones. He immediately started to build things, and that kind of sealed the deal already.
I mean, it's a 2-player map. It's one of the shorter rush distance 2-player maps. You're the highly favored Zerg, so why take a risk when you can just go for the pool first? And you know, if you're Sleep, you're probably thinking, even if he goes hatch first and I get slightly behind in that way, I am the better player. I can catch up. I can eke out my own advantages. And it was just a risk by Youngju that did not pay off. It made Sleep feel a little bit disgusted. As you can see his facial expression right now. He's like, I took care of that. That was a nasty, dirty trick he put on me. Whatever, it's all good.
If it didn't mess the order up, then we have the Protoss versus Protoss now before we are starting with the Terran versus Terran. That means we have Patience versus Deer. Let's just put it out there. If Patience is somehow able to take down Deer, which is of course a bit of a stretch since everyone expects Deer to take this match, then it's basically already over for us.
Yeah, Patience takes this. It's probably going to be a 4-0 because
there's at least a pretty good chance.
Last, he came out first in their previous match and did not. He didn't really impress. It's not like he looked terrible. He looked okay, but I don't favor him in the TVT anyways either. So if Patience takes out Deer, that would be incredible. That would be a big story. But
I actually thought that Last was not doing too bad. He was the opening player and he was up. I think, was it Crank?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
so it was Crank.
He was actually like doing. Okay, I'm confused. I'm thinking, is it right? Yeah,
it was
first,
Crank.
It was actually pretty. He made a pretty good showing. He played a lot better than I expected him to play. I don't know anything about his Terran versus Terran. On the other hand, Santa has shown us this season that he is solid. So the problem really being, if you fall behind with an 0-3, with the matches that we have left, I do not think they can take it. They need Deer to deliver a win. Deer is the one player on the team where you say, all right, that's
pretty much a sure win. I mean, he's like the best player in the world, one of them.
Then they're hoping for a few others, maybe for Hiva to take the game against Supernova later on. You have Trap against Boom Boom, which you could win. Then if, of course, Last is able to win this game, that would also be great. But if Deer loses, then that's already one of the pillars that you rest the entire success of the team on, breaking just away.
Yeah. And I bet Patience has a pretty sneaky build planned. He's probably not going to try to play against Deer straight up. I mean, if I were Patience, I would try to create a new strategy based off of one of the popular ones. Maybe try to do something like we saw from not Alicia, but I can't for the life of me remember his opponent yesterday. He hid his Dark Shrine in a proxy location where his opponent proxied last time, like something smart like that, where he thinks about, all right, he's never going to scout this. It's not a proxy location he would ever think of. He's going to think I'm doing something else, and I trick him that way. Maybe a build like that would be a good choice. What is the map? You had that open a second ago, right?
No, I didn't. I do not know which map they play. But the thing is, Frost.
It's Frost, okay. So Frost's a 4-player map, pretty big, so it's a little bit tougher to get away with a strategy like that.
The bigger problem is that the Protoss versus Protoss is one of Patient's worst matchups. And that is, of course, not working in his favor. If you are going up against such a strong player who has played in international tournaments, has played abroad, has won the biggest league in Korea itself, then you at least want to have this bit of an advantage that the matchup that you play is one that you're very confident in, and that's not the case. This is definitely the matchup where the Patience is usually saying like, yep, that's the one that I don't want to play, and now he has to go up against one of the best. I don't envy him for that.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I feel like no one on AZUBU will actually fault him for that. This is one of those games that you're allowed to win, to lose.
Yeah, and Protoss vs. Pros used to be a matchup in Wings of Liberty, and then of course in the beginning of Heart of the Swarm where a lot of build order losses could happen. People were trying to experiment with Oracles, then DT builds became stronger, and then Phoenix has got the +1 range, so people using Phoenix as well. And now it's kind of like everybody's making the Robo to be safe, and it always works out. That usually DTs don't end the game. They can give you an early advantage, but in this case, it's actually going to be probably at least somewhat straightforward game. It's hard to just get a builder one in PvP anymore these days.
I feel the matchup that we have right now, the scenario that you can compare it to is like when you look at football, at soccer, and you have a penalty shootout. The goalkeeper is always in the position where he can easily be a hero if he's able to save a few. But if he doesn't even get a single one, nobody's really going to fault him for that. Everyone is going to be like, yeah, alright, your chances here were actually pretty bad to begin with. But if he gets a victory, then he's the hero that everyone is just celebrating. So that's a situation that Patience finds himself in right now. Could take a lot of potential pressure away from him. If you know that you're going up against an opponent where nobody thinks you have a chance to begin with, then you can just play straight up. You can just play whatever and be like, it's fine, I can do this, I can just play, and if I lose, it's absolutely okay. There's like no problem.
Yeah. Patience is a player who, you know, he has played some good games. As you guys just saw on the screen, he's lost the last 5 games that he played. He kind of came out as a spark. Everyone's going, wow, I can't believe Gerard never used this guy on Prime. Looks pretty strong. And then suddenly he couldn't win a single game. So we'll see. If you look at Deer, on the other hand, kid's solid. I mean, won the hardest league in the world. He won WCS Korea. And then did decently well against Koreans worldwide at BlizzCon. He is a top Protoss player. The best Protoss player that we have in GSTL. And, I mean, this guy is... If you don't favor this guy, I don't know what sort of world you're living in.
I'm going to sum up Patience's record against Protoss with the statement that he lost to Tacita. That kind of puts it into perspective, I feel.
Yeah, that was Tasser's only win.
Exactly, in the entire year.
Yeah, so that's that's all you need to say. Sorry, Tassler. I don't know. This is a big map, which also further complicates things for Patience because it makes it harder for him to execute a strategy with Oracles, Phoenixes, aggressive timings to get ahead, forcing cancels on Nexi. It's going to be about late game. Decision making, macro, all things that Deer knows how to do in all matchups. And Patience is going to have to hope for a good engagement in the late game, maybe on one of the Bridges of Doom or something like that. This is going to be a tough match.
Yeah, I feel that Patience has to hope for Deer to blue screen.
Yeah, and even then, like with the replay features that we have in Heart of the Swarm, it's not going to help him too much.
He has a pretty poor matchup here, as simple as it is. It's just like the worst matchup they could end up with. He's up against the strongest player on team. Soul, let's see if he can perform a miracle or if Phil Deer will get the first win for Team Soul here. The GSTL, Colin Wolf.